Royals Weekly. I am your host, Mike Mead, and joining me this week is a man who squashed a rat beef in the early 2000s with a six-pack and a pound from Taco John's, our good friend, Alex Duvall.
Mike, there's not a lot of problems you couldn't solve with a six-pack and a pound of potato olays from Taco John's.
You know what the greatest travesty in Blue Springs history probably isn't, but should be? The closing of the Taco John's in Blue Springs. It
At
is.
least it was replaced with the ponchos, so it's
Oh,
not
was
like we
it?
lost. Yeah, we didn't lose
Okay.
a ton, but
Okay.
losing the potato olays, that was a bummer.
I used to drive the about 25, 30 minutes from my house just to get it sometimes in the summer, just to feel at home.
That is
Um,
dedication, my friend.
That's right. On this week's episode, we'll review a break-even week from the Royals. We'll discuss some ways that we think that we can improve the team, possibly get the opinions of Alex Duvall, and then we'll preview this week's games, which is going to be an interesting one because we're at home for half and away for half. But first, make sure that you're liking, subscribing. As you can see, I'm out hosting Mark already. Okay? And so tell him that in the comments of this and subscribe to the Substack if you haven't yet. He'll be back this Wednesday for our Substack episode that comes out on Thursday. We'll record it on Wednesday, but he's in the car traveling to North Carolina right now. So we get the better half, which is me, plus Alex Duvall. That's an upgrade, people. Want to remind you as well that Royals Weekly is proud to be brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoff stats. BetOnline has all the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. We'll start this week off with roster news, kick off that. There was a bit of roster news. Carlos Hernandez started a rehab assignment. A lot of that got rained out early on, but they did mention on the broadcast today that he had a clean inning today with 2 strikeouts in Omaha. So hopefully he's on the way to providing some depth for this bullpen, which saw a bit of a struggle today. Maybe kind of for the first time we saw John Schreiber and MacArthur have a little bit of a hiccup there today. We also called up and sent down Jonathan Bolin for his first start of the year. He went 2 2/3 innings with 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, but most importantly, 3 home runs. Alex, what was your take from Jonathan Bolin's first start with the Royals this year?
Dude, I was floored at how good he looked. I know he did not have the best results. I know his command was spotty. Jonathan Bolin throwing 97, 98? Are you kidding me? Like, if nothing else, I will walk away from that start going, Jonathan Bolin's throwing 98 again. I'm in. I don't need to see a whole lot else. Go get your command right. Go get everything fine-tuned. I think we've just gotten so, like, numb to the idea of Tommy John. It's like, well, he'll be back and he'll be whatever in 12 months. It's like, no, you got to go through a process of healing and then building back up to your stuff and then finding your command and then putting it all together. It's a couple years before guys are really right again. And Jonathan Bolin we're staring down that like 2 to 3 year window of, all right, we can start to expect him to be right again. And I really think by the middle of this summer, we're either going to see that in the rotation or in the bullpen, wherever it's needed.
Yeah, tell me what you think about this. I really liked his 2-seamer in that start a little bit more than I did his 4-seam fastball. And he's got the slider that generally grades out pretty good. Would you be opposed to him being more of a 2-seamer forward guy like he was before the Tommy John?
Well, this was actually his MO at Memphis, right? Is he was a big sinker guy. And then he came to the Royals organization. They're like, hey, we think maybe you could be better off with a 4-seamer. And he still used his 2-seamer, but it was almost like the Royals found something. They're like, hey, the 4-seamer is probably where you need to be. And then he kind of transitions to this. And then he gets back, like you said, to this 2-seamer that looks good. It's like, maybe we go, back to that. It was one start, and we'll see what they think about it in Omaha. But it is interesting, like the ebbs and flows of a career, depending on health and other factors, what could be useful. But it is something he's had in his bag at some point in his career, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was something he leaned on again.
Yeah, I mentioned this. I can't remember if it was in Monday's episode or Thursday's, but I do worry that the 4-seamer may end up being one of those good in AAA, but not so good in Major League Baseball. That's kind of my worry with his 4-seamer. And that's why I did like a lot what I saw from the two seamer in that start that he had. And so that's what always made me a big fan of Jonathan Bolin was the two seamer. But I would love to see him adopt kind of a Brady Singer profile here, where he throws the two seamer predominantly, probably not as much as Singer does because his isn't as good as Singer's, but and then the four seamer becomes the strikeout pitch up in the zone or the kind of change of pace fastball for him. I think I would like to see that, although it was one start. So how much can you what can you draw from one start? The
Right.
Royals also optioned Colin Selby, brought Colin Selby up, turned around and sent him back down after a week. He had 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 0 walks, 2 walks, 0 strikeouts. I think he's more of an organizational rotation bullpen guy. He'll be up and down a bunch in his Royals career. But all of that, he was set down today to bring up Daniel Lynch the fourth to pitch today. 5 innings pitched today, 2 hits, 0 runs, 6 Ks, 2 walks. Got a lot of trouble in the first. Was able to get out of it and then put together a solid start. Alex, what do you think of Daniel Lynch the fourth and his prospects moving forward?
The only thing consistent about Daniel Lynch is being inconsistent. He is the model of inconsistency. So this is, again, it's about MOs. This is Daniel Lynch, right? He goes out there and you're like, all right, there it is. That's the guy we drafted. That's the guy we all thought was a top 100 prospect. That's the guy we think could be an MLB starter. And then he goes out there the next time and he doesn't get so lucky in the first inning. He gives up a 4 spot and it's like, there he is, right? And so it's like this is the Jekyll and Hyde of Daniel Lynch. And I am to the point in Daniel Lynch's career, I won't buy anything until he shows me that he can be good for like 10 starts in a row. If you can prove to me that you can be good for a third of a season, all right, I'll start to say maybe we've turned a corner. But I'm done buying into 1, 2, or even 3 good outings from Daniel Lynch.
Yeah, and the thing with me is I didn't notice, and I went and looked at some of the stuff from in Baseball Savant today from the Statcast data. I didn't notice anything different. What it showed was Daniel Lynch has 3 very average pitches and 2 that are probably below average, and then he's not really going to do much with that. When a team hasn't prepared for him, like the Rangers probably hadn't for today, yeah, he might look good in a one-off start, and he might be great as your bring up and down swing guy from Omaha to Kansas City. But I agree. Until I see something really change in his arsenal, I have no reason to believe in Daniel Lynch. Although, thank you for going out and giving him a chance to win today.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Good for you. But I'm not going to buy on the Daniel Lynch stock right now because I haven't seen much change. And I got to see some change before I do that. The
Well, and hey,
record this. Oh,
by
sorry.
the
Go
way,
ahead.
really quick, if that's what Daniel Lynch is, that has value in an organization, right? And the Royals, going back for the last 4, 5, 6 years, have not had that, where they could call a guy up from AAA and you thought, hey, we still have a chance to win this game. It may not be a good chance. He's not one of our top 5 starters, but he could physically give us a chance to win. It used to be starter goes down and you are out of it. It's the game's over. You may as well not play. Now, if Jonathan Bolin and Daniel Lynch are your AAA depth, that's fantastic. That is still an upgrade from where they've been in past seasons.
Yeah, and we know that because last year they chose to bullpen game a lot of that. Like they were like, we're not going down in AAA. It's only going to be a travesty. Our best chance is to start a reliever. And so, yeah, I completely agree with that. The record this week was 3-3, which break even against Toronto and the Texas Rangers. I think we're pretty happy with that. 20-15 is their overall record, which is only good enough for third in what we thought would be a weak AL Central. But the Guardians and Twins right now just can't lose baseball games for some reason. Alex, how did you feel about this week overall?
Really good. If you would have told me 2 weeks ago that they're going to go 5-2 against Toronto and come out of this, Mark, I tweeted before the season that if they could get out of their first 35 games, this point in the season. So I'm glad we're on because this was a huge piece of
Because you
their
got some
season, right?
receipts to slam down on the counter, right?
Yeah, I said if they can get out at 15-20, I will consider it a win. They're 20-15. Now, I know you lost a game, and they lost a game earlier this season, maybe a week or two ago, where they should have won. 99 times out of 100, you got to win the game. But that was the difference today between a team that's coming off a World Series championship in a team that lost 107 or 100 whatever games last year, right? Is
106. Yeah.
106. That's the difference. One team has been there, done that, will do it again. One team is learning to do it against the best of the best. There is nothing about this past week that you can tell me that I'm like, ooh, yeah, the Royals are ready to regress. They just went 5-2 against a very good Blue Jays team and 1-2 against the World Series champion defendant, right? And so there's nothing that you can say about that where I'm like, ooh, bummer. It happens. You lose baseball games. It get to wake back up and do it again tomorrow or whenever they play next, right? So um, I, I feel great about it. You go 3-3 against Toronto and Texas. I will take that for the rest of the season because Mark, if they go 500 for the rest of the season, we're sitting here in September, October, and what, 5 games? Can you be 5 games above 500? Is like, so you got to be 6 games. So they'd be, 84, 85 wins. I think we would all take that. That'd be incredible, right?
Yeah.
Go 500 the rest of the season.
Yeah. First thing, my name's Mike. Not the first time that's happened to me in my life when someone's called me Mark. But
It's not like you look alike.
secondly, I completely agree. Like, and I have to always keep reminding myself that because you see the potential of a team that's this good. You see that perhaps it's maybe one part of their team and their offense that's keeping them from winning some of these games. But pinch yourself and go, we've got one of the best rotations in baseball 35 games into the season. We've got one of the best bullpens in baseball 35 games in the season, probably the best defense in the league 35 games into the season. And the offense isn't the best or a top 5 offense, but they're not the bottom 5 offense either. And so that's a heck of a team moving forward. Yes, the offensive struggles are a little frustrating, as we saw today. Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino were their offense. MJ sprinkled in 2 hits too, but outside of those two producing those 2 runs, that was basically it. And but I don't feel like we're super worried about where this team is, where we could have been, right? How many times have we said it? They're out of it at the end of May. This team isn't going to be out of it at the end of May. This team's going to be battling with, or getting it ready to play the Guardians for the first time coming in June. And so those series are going to be huge. And just the fact that they're going to have really important series to be playing in June is a win in my book.
Isn't that great?
Isn't it fantastic? Imagine if it lasts all the way to September. Oh my gosh. Now, with a week of 3-3 against 2 really good teams, we had some strong performers to pick from. Alex, I'm going to give you the honors. Give us who your strong performer for the week was.
I'm going to go with Vinny P because even in a week where he's not hitting, 346 on base percentage, 3 walks, and a strikeout. He is going to keep himself relevant in the middle of a lineup because his plate discipline is elite. He has the best approach on the team, night in and night out. He has the best plate appearances on the team, night in and night out. And even when he goes through BABIP slumps, right, where he's struggling to get hits to fall, maybe he's getting it like today, he got a great swing on an inside fastball and got jammed. Now he's out, right? Even when he goes through slumps like that, his plate discipline is going to keep him in the game, on base. And so today, this week, he didn't have the best week, but a 346 on base in a week where you're slumping a little bit, I consider that a win all day long.
Agreed. And yeah, you're right. Watching him take a plate appearance is a lot different than this next guy I'm going to talk about. Michael Massey had a big week. 9 for 24, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 7 RBI. He had a walk to 3 Ks, and I had to put him in there because I've been critical of Michael Massey. I still am skeptical of Michael Massey because he still does the things that we looked at last year and said, well, that's why Michael Massey didn't hit so well this year. He still swings a lot of those pitches in the shadow of the strike zone. And right now he's getting hits off of them. I hope it continues that way. But I'm still kind of waiting to see, do we get a Michael Massey slump? Because I'll take a consistent hitter over a guy who kills it for a week and is done for 2 weeks. But till then, Michael Massey, keep knocking him out. Keep hitting it long, my man. We need it definitely in the middle of that lineup. Weak performers for the week, we had a few. Alex, who's the guy that you wish would have stepped up a little bit more this week?
Maikel Garcia strikes me as a guy who thinks he's something he isn't. And I I always thought that watching Maikel Garcia, that Did I say Michael Massey first time? Did I say Garcia?
I think you said Garcia. I'm not paying
Okay,
attention.
Garcia.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm reading. Okay, anyway, Garcia strikes me as a guy early in his career who knew who he was and happened to have some juice behind the ball. If he approaches his plate appearances like a leadoff hitter and has some juice, he is what we thought and hoped Nicky Lopez always could be, an elite defender, good base runner, on base, hit for a high average. But it seems to me like he's almost trying now to hit the ball too hard. And it's like, man, that's not who you should be trying to be. It should be a positive byproduct of who you are. A leadoff hitter slapping singles and doubles who occasionally can turn on a ball and hit 8, 9, 10 home runs in an MLB season. And that's why I was so high on him coming into the year. But for a kid like Garcia with his skill set to have a week where he has 1 walk, 7 Ks, and look mystified at fastballs late in the count, it's like, okay, you have lost in some capacity who you are as a hitter. Now, I don't want to take away everything from Maikel Garcia because Maikel Garcia over the last 2 weeks, and this will tell you how hot he was a week before, over the last 2 weeks hit 340 with a 400 OBP, a 9% walk, or in a 1-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. So he shows flashes of exactly what I'm talking about. But there are moments when it's like, hey, you really need to stop running with the ebbs and flows of a season and trying to do too much to break out of these slumps and stay to the program like Vinny Pasquantino, right? It's kind of like why I picked him as my strong performer is he is the antithesis of Garcia right now. Stick with the program. Don't get out of your approach and do what makes Maikel Garcia good every night. And eventually that luck will turn and you'll ride the high again. And these slumps won't be as prolonged. But he almost strikes me as that kid who's a little bit too young, too eager, to want to fix it right now,
Yeah.
and starts to break away from his plan. And that's bad news for Garcia.
Yeah, the JoJo, the idiot circus boy with his pretty new pet, like he's too eager to play with it. He's Lenny with the rabbits. He's too eager to play with it. But I agree with that. We always wondered where did the Michael Massey go in the minors that walked at the rate that he did when he got to Major League Baseball. Those things kind of I don't want to say his approach changed. The outcomes of that approach changed maybe, and that just might be a function of guys being more around the plate in Major League Baseball and things like that. But yeah, I would kill to have a Maikel Garcia back that is that get on base first approach kind of thing. Because we always talk about this. There's not another guy, at least right now, there's not another guy to lead off for this team. And it's going to have to be him. And so we would like to see a little bit better results from that, a little more consistent results from that. The guy I'm going to talk about is another Michael, but spelled vastly different, Michael Wacha. Okay, we're just Michaeling it all up today. 3.2 innings pitched from Wacha this week, 9 hits, 7 earned runs, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. He got hit hard in this one, and it looked a lot like the last one which was I guess maybe the good and the bad thing. The bad thing is when he doesn't locate, especially the changeup, he gets killed. I mean, he just gets he's so hittable if he's not locating that changeup. And it happened in the last start. It happened in this start. When we first signed Michael Wacha, the first thing I did was I went back and I kind of looked at his game logs to see like who he was as a pitcher. I went back and watched some of the best and some of the worst. And I'm kind of here to tell you this is who he is. Okay. Last year was pretty much the same thing. He had stretches where he was very, very good, and that usually related to his command. And he had stretches where he was like this. Now in the last one, they left him out there, and I think he gave up 5 runs in 5 innings or something like that. But this one, I mean, it was. We may look back and say this was one of the worst starts Michael Wacha has this year. And if that's the case, I think we're pretty happy. But he's got to get out of the middle of the plate. The other thing that kind of weirded me out, and I could just be wrong on this, they kept classifying some of his pitches as four-seam fastballs that were in the low 90s, like 90, 91 sometimes. I don't know if that's a different pitch. I don't know if that's I don't know what it is, but I don't want his velocity going up and down like that. One could denote some arm issues, and two just might mean that his arm's getting tired. And 90 miles an hour on a four-seam fastball from him, especially the way he's locating, not going to end up with great results. So we'll take a look. He's going to be an interesting one to see this next week when he gets his start. Let's talk themes for the week. In a week we were 3-3. Alex, what's your big theme for the week? I noticed you did not go with a quote from a movie or a song. That's okay. You're new.
I
Okay.
forget that that's what we
It's
do.
okay. It's all right. It's
You go
okay.
first. You go first. Let me.
you want to go find one?
Yep.
I'll give you a minute. Okay. I can wax poetic on this person for days. Okay. I went with a song lyric from Missouri's own Sheryl Crow. And if you're old like me, even if you're young like Alex, you may know this. Okay. Sheryl Crow had a hit in the I believe it was the late 90s with a song called If It Makes You Happy. And my theme is the beginning of that chorus. If it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. Okay. And so as I'm watching this and I'm enjoying these games, that game on, what was it? The one where Salvi hit the home run. Was that Friday night? I think it was Friday night. That game, I have not been that into a baseball game in such a long time. Well, except for maybe like a week ago when it was also very exciting. But you could hear it at the K too. I mean, that place was booming. And it makes me happy. It can't be that bad. It can't be that bad when we lose a game in extras today because we can't score that extra insurance run that's on third and Blanco with one out, and we can't get him in, and our bullpen kind of lets us down. I can't be mad about those things when the Royals are 20-15 and they've played a somewhat tough schedule. Now the Astros aren't as tough as we thought they were going to be, but we've played Toronto twice. We've played Baltimore twice. We've played the Twins to open the year. We played, who's the team? Houston. Thank you. The great lineup in Houston, right? And so, yeah, it's been fantastic to see this. I can't be unhappy with the game today. To your point earlier, when we're doing this, we're in a groove. We're in a place to contend for this. Is that enough time, Alex? Did I give you enough time to meet the criteria of movie or music quote for our weekly theme?
If I would have known, if I would have remembered this, it would have been an easy one. But I've got two, and they work in tandem.
Okay,
so we're going to start with Kenny Chesney. I ain't back yet. So
all right, that's going to be strike one because it's Kenny Chesney. But okay, keep going.
Hey, Kenny Chesney is a very, very particular vibe. It's not for everybody. It's not for all the time.
My wife loves it.
There's a time and a place.
Yeah.
Arrowhead Stadium is generally the place.
Yeah.
The only place. But it is one of the
12 bush lights deep is the place.
Yes. So in the chorus of the song, I was gone and I ain't back yet. The Royals were gone. They're getting better, but they are not back yet. They are clearly a young and talented team. They are clearly heading in the right direction, in my opinion. But I think today was the perfect encapsulation that they're not back yet. And are they going to be good all summer? Yes. I picked them to go 79-83 for a reason. I think they're going to be able to play close to 500 baseball the entire season. I think they're going to be fun to watch until August. And I do think eventually attrition will take over. And I don't think this team is making the playoffs. But I don't want to sound like a negative Nelly. They're just not quite back yet, right? And I think they're so close. And I can't wait to see what they do this offseason. Can you develop a Gavin Croft to be the answer in right field? Can you get a Mason Barnett close to being big league ready? Can Bolin fill out the back end of a pitching staff? And so my theme is that they were gone and ain't back yet, but I do want to add in the attitude of the team, the leadership of the team. Reminds me a little bit of Wyatt Earp in Tombstone.
Ooh,
you better tell him. You better tell him I'm coming.
Ooh,
and hell's coming with
hell's
me.
Coming with me. Fantastic film. Can't go wrong there. We're gonna excuse the Kenny Chesney stuff because that was so good. Love me some Tombs. Royals Weekly is brought to you by Eric Oxer of West USA Realty. Phoenix has all of our favorite things: year-round golf, year-round baseball, and Eric Oxer of West USA Realty. Whether you want to buy your dream retirement home or just stay a while and catch a spring training game, Eric can help you find the perfect house for you. We've known him for 30 years and trust him far more than we even trust each other.
Mark told me one time that Eric found a wallet and returned it to the guy with more money in it than it originally had.
Yeah, what just generous fella, that guy. Just a generous fella. Eric does long-term rentals for the snowbird crowd and home sales and purchases for those who want to stay a while longer. Are you a baseball player or parent who needs a place in the Phoenix area? Eric will find you the perfect spot fast. Want to spend your days shanking golf balls into the great beyond? Eric knows the golf scene like Mark knows which stall is the cleanest in a grungy highway rest stop. He's probably using that tool right now on his drive to North Carolina. Find Eric online at ericoxer.com if you can figure out how to spell his name. It's ERICKAUXIER.com, or just shoot him a text at 480-383-9745. That's 480-383-9745. Even if you're just curious about what he can do for you, he's 100% no pressure and one of the best people that we know.
And I've also heard he can run through a 6-pack of tacos like he's Joey Chestnut in his prime.
He can. 165 pounds, a straight eating machine, that guy is. Okay, every week the Weekly Weirdos get the opportunity to hear Mark and I bloviate on the team that we love. Their ups, their downs, their passions, their fears. Okay? And we love having the opportunity to do that for you. But when you've got a chance to take a Ferrari for a spin, you leave the Kia Rio in the garage. That's what Mark drives, by the way. We are blessed today to be joined by Alex Duvall, and thought we would take this opportunity to hear what Alex thinks about the Royals and how he thinks they can continue to improve on what has been a fantastic start for a team that lost 106 games last year. We are going to play a game that I have dubbed In a Perfect World. I created this game, by the way, invented it, patent pending. It is only a game in that, in the end, I will arbitrarily appoint a winner. Okay? And I'm the heavy favorite, so just understand that. I will say in a perfect world and then give Alex a player and let him tell us what he thinks they could do to improve or how they could eventually help the team. Okay, enough with this complicated setup. Let's roll with the first one. You ready, Alex?
I am.
Okay, so do you remember whose line is it anyway?
I do.
And like PTI and how like points don't really matter. They just do whatever. You're going to
Oh, yeah.
arbitrarily get points here, and I will deduct points for wrong answers. Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay. All based on just your opinion. So no pressure. Alex Duvall, complete this sentence. In a perfect world, Kyle is
Gets on base.
Do you care to elaborate?
Yeah, so over the last 2 weeks, Kyle Isbell has put together maybe the best 2 weeks of his MLB career. He's hitting 270 with an OPS north of 800, a weighted runs created plus of 141. He has been a fantastic 9-hole hitter. He's been worth half a win in 2 weeks. I know he didn't play great today, but if you combine his what is legitimately borderline elite defense in center field with a guy who can hit for some power, you have a great 9-hole hitter. The problem is Kyle Isbell has not shown any lick of consistency being able to hit for power in his big league career. Mike, it's obvious now, but if I told you a few minutes ago that there are 187 big league hitters with 100 plate appearances this year, where would you guess out of 187 that Kyle Isbell ranks when it comes to making contact in the strike zone?
Ooh, making contact in the strike zone?
On pitches in the strike zone.
I would put him 45th. Number one.
The best in zone contact rate in Major League Baseball. When he swings at a pitch that is in the strike zone, he makes contact 97.1% of the time. That is absurd. Those are insane bat to ball skills. Some other names on this list: Jeff McNeil, Stephen Kwan, Luis Arias, Alex Verdugo, Vinny Pasquantino, Bryce Terang, Marcus Semien. Like, you have legitimately all-world caliber, don't strike out hitters, put the ball in play, on-base machines, right? And for whatever reason, Kyle Isbell's approach seems to be, hey, I'm going to Salvador Perez it. I'm going to swing a lot, hope I hit it. And by the way, that has worked for guys like Salvador Perez, who have a very, very special skill set when it comes to putting the bat on the ball. But Kyle Isbell's not that big. He's not that kind of hitter. I would much rather Kyle Isbell flip the script and go full Stephen Kwan. Not going to swing it a whole lot. We're going to spray the ball all over the field. because and here's the thing, not everybody can just do this, right? If they could, we would just have everybody do that, right? So it's not like I'm asking Michael Massey to do that. Michael Massey's MO is not to have great plate discipline. But Kyle Isbell very clearly sees the ball fairly well, because you can't be the best hitter in baseball when it comes to hitting strikes if you're not seeing it. So there's a combination of things of when I watch Kyle Isbell's at bats, when I see the numbers that back it up, I feel like his approach, and by the way, hitting Major League Baseball is very hard. The Royals have way more info on this than I do. It just seems backwards. Like it seems like we're trying to allow Kyle Isbell to try to be something he's not. Because if he would just get on base at a 330 clip, by the way, what did I say? This was the best stretch of his MLB career, on base of 325. That's a really low on base percentage for your best 2 weeks ever. Can we get that on base to 330? Can you carry it on base at 330 and an ISO of 100? I don't care if it's only 100. Get on base in the 9 hole, roll it back over for Michael Garcia and Bobby Witt Jr. at the top of the lineup, go be an elite defender, and you can play for years in Major League Baseball.
And the Royals would love to have that at the bottom of their lineup. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, that the run production that you would start to get from Michael and Bobby, it would be unbelievable. You know what? For that fantastic stat that you set me up with there, you get 26 points, and I won't hear an argument about it. Okay, fantastic. As you lead by a single point, because I'm giving myself 25 on that one. Okay, in a perfect world, our next one. In a perfect world, Brady
continues throwing strikes.
Okay.
This is the best Brady Singer we've seen. And, oh man, I forgot to pull it up. But Brady Singer, when he's really good, the walk rate is non-existent, right? When Brady Singer starts walking guys, he cannot survive giving up as much contact as he does, right? So Brady Singer, over the last few years, has been one of the worst pitchers in Major League Baseball when it comes to avoiding bats in the strike zone. When Brady Singer throws a strike, a lot of times that ball is going to be put in play. That is okay because he keeps the ball on the ground. He keeps guys from hitting the ball hard. And you can play the long game of, hey, let's just make sure we don't give up a ton of barrels when you're not walking guys. But, of course, I can't get it to load. Oh, here it is. But when you're walking guys like he did last year where never mind. I'm looking at this. His walks per nine's higher than last year. So, never mind. I don't even know what I'm talking about, apparently.
Well, my thing
it
for him
seemed to
is,
me like his walks were way down. I'm like, hey, this is a good version of Brady Singer. I am dead wrong. So
it is a good version. I mean, we're seeing the outcomes being very, very good. Minus 25 of those 26 points, by the way, for throwing out a false narrative on here. Not that we ever do that here. We never do that. But so the thing that gets me with him is, or I guess my follow up to that is, do you think he even needs to throw those third and fourth pitches, the four seamer, the sweeper, whatever it is? Do you think he needs to throw those more? Because it looks like he's regressing back to the form he had, but still having positive results. Because he's throwing I think Mark and I set the over under at 80%. Were you on that episode with us? The 80% for number of sinkers and sliders that he throws combined.
Yep.
Well, I looked the other day, he was at 83. So he was definitely over. And so he's not really throwing those other pitches all that much. Can he continue to get by doing that?
I'm going to say no. Mike, I am so sorry. I looked the other day, and I swore to you, Mike, that his walk numbers were way down and that something else was trending in the right direction. And I put that in the back of my head and thought, okay, this is where I'm going to go in this direction on Sunday night, because I've been impressed with Brady Singer. I'm looking at his stats. He's throwing fewer strikes than literally at any point in his MLB career. Guys are chasing less than at any point in his MLB career. And his contact rate is also lower than at any point in his MLB career. Maybe the secret for Brady Singer was throw fewer strikes, right? Get guys to chase it more often. I don't know. I feel like I'm crazy because his whiff rate, like I said, is higher. I don't even know what I was looking at anymore. I am bamboozled. I am completely befuddled about what it is I was looking at. But I was like, oh, that's a really good trend. Stow that away. We'll pull it up Sunday. We'll do it live. this is what I get for being a little underprepared when it came to my pitchers because I got the hitting stats Paul pulled up.
Well,
I guess
hey,
I was just assuming.
if you've done anything, you've identified possibly a player for some negative regression here in Brady Singer. If he gives a blow up game, we'll know exactly why.
We'll
Our
circle
next
back.
one, yeah, our next one. Alex is not in the hole for points, but he's only got one, so we'll see here. I'm definitely in the lead. Um, in a perfect world, Michael.
Regathers his end zone command. So this one, I was looking at heat maps earlier. I'm actually did a little a little homework. Michael Waka's. You were talking about this earlier, where his four seam, he was throwing him down in the zone at a lower velocity. He is not getting there with his off speed pitches. He's leaving them elevated. He gave up a home run the other night on a changeup that didn't come close to the bottom of the strike zone. And as often as he throws that pitch, it can't be in the middle, right? I know Lucas Giolito made kind of infamous the high changeup a few years ago where he would throw it over the strike zone and then that changeup would bottom out and hit the top of the zone on its way in and it kind of it was kind of trendy there for a bit, and then guys kind of figured out how to hit that pitch right. So, but it's not even like Michael Wacha is doing that effectively. He just can't get that pitch down in the zone. It seems effectively, and so it's like okay, we've really got to rein in the locations for these different pitches, right? If we're not going to have elite stuff, we can't miss like this, and so I don't think Michael Waka is at an age, at the ripe old age of almost 33, where we can expect progression in stuff. I don't think he's going to find a lot of velocity. I don't think he's going to find a lot of extra movement. So we have to be able to refine the command. And it's one thing that I was really high on Michael Waka coming into the season for is he's not going to walk a lot of guys. I mean, his walks per nine haven't been over 2.5 since 2019. He's been really good at keeping guys off the bases for free. It's just right now he is catching so much of the strike zone that I don't think this is sustainable. I also will point out his FIP is significantly lower than his ERA. His batting average on balls in play is 350, and there's a few underlying trends that I think point to the fact that he has not been as bad as it looks, or at least it is possible that he can come back from it. So I am holding out hope in that regard, but his command in the strike zone needs to improve a little bit.
Yeah, and I would agree with you on that point that you just made. It seems like a lot of these rallies against him get started with some really weak contact, and or even like he'll give up a run or two in the first or the second, run in the first, run in the second. It's like nobody hit the ball hard in either of those innings. So I think he is getting a little bit unlucky. But when you're hitting the fat part of the plate like that, you're gonna get tagged for some big innings. And yeah, I'm not worried about Michael Waka, but I think this is just kind of who he is at 33 in his career, and it hasn't been bad. You know what? Plus 15 points and an eggplant emoji for you. Okay, good job on that one. Very, very analytical, beautiful stuff. In a perfect world, Alex, Michael.
Keeps hitting for power. So
Hmm,
he was your strong performer of the week. He had a great week. He had a 216 ISO. It led to a 131 weighted runs created plus. This is who Michael Massey has to be. Unfortunately, kind of like the inverse of Kyle Isbell, Michael Massey has never shown an ability to have good plate discipline. And like we've talked about, that can be okay. The problem is you have to hit for a lot of power if you're going to walk 2.5% of the time. Now, it's beneficial to him because he has a great hit tool. He plays great defense at second base, and he does have some tremendous raw power for a guy his size. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he can really get into it when he's getting a hold of the baseball. So, if he continues to hit for power and continues to have some good luck and spraying line drives that fall around the field, he's going to be just fine. It's these spells he gets into where he's having a really hard time squaring the ball up that it's like oof. And we've talked about this plenty on this podcast, on my old podcast, on I've talked about it this ad nauseum, but he swings at those pitches in the shadow of the strike zone, and it's almost problematic because he can hit those pitches. Like you'd be better off not being able to make contact, swinging and missing, and then like reevaluating your process. He almost has too good a hands, can hit that ball just hard enough to think, oh, like I don't need to fix what I'm doing inherently. And it's almost like worse would be better. But if he's going to make contact with those pitches, it needs to be hard contact, not like what does Hudler call them, booty knocks, like
Yeah.
because those are outs more often than not, right?
Yes, they are. And it's funny that you say that because one of the home runs that he hit this week was on one of those. It was
Mm-hmm.
down and in. It was a little bit off the plate, but Michael Massey was able to golf that thing. I think about it, hit the foul pole with it in right field. Just a really great hit. But that then tells you I can hit that pitch. I can
Mm-hmm.
hit that pitch all day. All right.
Absolutely.
Good job. A free Taco John's coupon and 27 points for that answer right there. Good job.
Yes.
Um, where is the close? I think Independence still has a Taco John's. Maybe I'll have to hit that up one of these days. Um, in a perfect world, Alex Duvall, Frank Mazik.
Is good.
What do you think of him right now? So far this season, we've seen some different stuff from him. Still not throwing super hard. Still
I,
striking out
I
a bunch of guys.
I was talking to Joel about this the other day. Like, it is. I'm not even being facetious. It is legitimately impressive that a guy throwing 86 to 88 can strike out professional hitters in a way he's doing. Like, I'm not even being condescending. It is legitimately wildly impressive because his fastball has some crazy ride to the top of the strike zone. His curveball is filthy, and guys cannot pick up the baseball out of his hand. Like, he gets some of the ugliest swings, and like, I don't even mean to be like, again, I'm not. I'm being very serious when I'm complimenting Mazzucato here. I have watched kids all spring in high school who can run the ball up into the 90s with regularity, who don't get swings from high school kids as bad as Mazzucato gets from professional hitters. Seriously. And it's like, you throw way less hard than that high school kid does. And those hitters look way worse than those high school hitters. So he is doing something right. There is a legitimate skill here that he can't live at 89. You have to throw 94 if you're going to be him. He's got to find it. But if he finds it, I'm I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah, and he's what, 20 years old? 21 maybe?
20.
Is he 20? And so you would hope with a little bit of more physical development, he'll get up into that 93, 94 range. If he's got that much, deception and movement on the fastball, then perhaps that's all he needs to really live. For me, it's the command. I mean, throw more strikes, dude. Like, you got to throw more strikes. But good answer. Not as good as your last one. 14 points. Actually, make it 15 next week's Teacher Appreciation Week. You get 15 points.
Yes.
In a perfect world, Alex, the Royals.
So I've gone back and forth on this a lot. I think right now, for where the Royals are at in their rebuild, for who is available, and for what the Royals do well, I think the move, if he's available, is the first baseman out of Wake Forest, Nick Kurtz. Nick Kurtz this spring is hitting 324. His on base percentage is 532. He is slugging 820 with an OPS north of 1350, 19 home runs, 10 doubles, 29 strikeouts to 58 walks. The ACC has completely abandoned trying to pitch to this kid. And I know he's a first baseman. I think he's honestly probably athletic enough to play the outfield, but he's so good at first base, I don't know that it matters. Now, the issue you have is running into an Andrew Vaughn situation. The issue you have is running into
Spencer Torkelson.
Spencer Torkelson. It's really hard to judge. I usually fly caution to the wind for first base only. I think Nick Kurtz is a little different, and I think we
That's
all
what
said
they
that
all
about.
say.
I know, I know. It feels to me like this is a pure hitter who does not rely on one trait to carry him, like a Charlie Condon, who reminds me a lot of Spencer Torkelson is I'm not saying that Charlie Condon, who's probably going to go 1-1, 1-2, is a one-trick pony, but kind of. And so with Nick Kurtz, he can make contact in the zone. He has great plate discipline. He can hit fastballs. He can hit breaking balls. He can go to left field. He can go to right field. I think he switch hits. Um, and so this is the thing for me. It's like he is so well rounded. He reminds me more of like a Nolan Schanuel, the kid the Angels drafted, who I know
Shanu.
is not. I know he's not hitting great right now for the Angels. He never played minor league baseball or like for a month or two, and then he went right up and had like an on base streak of like 35 games, right? So I think he does enough where it's like I can talk myself into it more than any other first base only prospect that I've ever seen. So I'm probably going to get some heat for that. It is the antithesis of what I usually preach come draft time. But maybe I hope that carries a little weight that, yes, I'm even saying draft the first baseman.
Yeah, here's the heat you're going to get: minus 267 points because he's a fat, dumpy first baseman with a
Whoa,
weird
whoa, whoa,
swing.
whoa, whoa. He is
Weird
not
swing.
fat and
He looks
dumpy.
like he's 6 years old. And
No, 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 no,
no,
no.
I am not the biggest Nick Kurtz fan you will find, if you couldn't tell. Um, I would rather go with your boy JJ Weatherholt, who I know is coming up with the injury concerns and things like that. I would rather take him or even the high school kid, Connor Griffin. I wouldn't mind having him either.
Big
Um,
Connor Griffin fan.
but yeah, Kurtz is kind of my one. Maybe him and the kid from Florida are kind of my two biggest fears,
Oof.
if you will. I like. Here's the thing with the Florida kid, and I never pronounce his name correctly. That's why I just call him the Florida kid. It's Caglione or something like that.
Caglianone.
Caglianone. Thank you very much. The thing with him, he's so intriguing. He's just so intriguing. I just want to see what happens with him because of the prowess on the mound and the hitting. The power is unbelievable too. Um, but no, I want the Royals to give me a high floor, and I think JJ Weatherholt has that. So Kurtz does too. I think I agree. I think Kurtz has a high floor. The swing scares me a little bit. It's weird. It's a little bit of a weird swing, at least from the left side. The one I've seen is, and the fact that he's not an athlete, really. I mean, he's not a terrible athlete, and you're right. He's good around first base from what I've read, but you know, I don't know. That's just I'm not. If you say give me a choice between an athlete with a great approach like JJ Weatherholt and a non-athlete with a great approach, I'll take the athlete all day. So 52 points for me on that one, and minus 267 for Alex. Okay, last one here. In a perfect world, JJ.
Cuts bait with his mistakes.
Hmm. I know Royals front offices have been reluctant to do that. Are there any mistakes that you're thinking of?
Garrett Hampson, Adam Frazier, potentially Hunter Renfroe. Now, Hunter Renfroe, I'm okay with. Hunter Renfroe is a good defender. Hunter Renfroe is hitting the ball hard. Like, you're not getting rid of all three, but you can easily replace anything that Garrett Hampson and Adam Frazier are going to give you in the minor leagues right now. Cut bait. It's okay. It's all right. Nobody's going to get mad at you for bringing in depth. We didn't know what we were going to get coming into the season. It is okay to sign depth. It is okay to make mistakes. You have built a really good roster. Go win. There is no reason for Nick Lofton to be in the minor leagues right now. Nick Lofton may not be an everyday player. Frankly, Michael Massey's not an everyday player. If you have a Michael Wacha on the mound, yes, I know he's right-handed, but the changeup creates some reverse splits. Play Nick Lofton. Play Nick Lofton against lefties. Give Michael Garcia a day off when he's slumping like this and let Nick Lofton play third base. Nick Lofton has no business in the minor leagues. Let him play left field when there's a really tough lefty on the mound. Give MJ a break. There's too many spots on the field that Nick Lofton can help you that, frankly, Garrett Hampson and Adam Frazier aren't doing. There's no reason for it. I would even say right now, Nelson Velasquez. Do we need some time in AAA? Do we need to get a look at a Drew Waters, a CJ Alexander? The only way to do that is to cut bait with your mistakes. It's okay. I didn't love the Adam Frazier signing. Garrett Hampson was a year and $2 million. See ya. Bye. Here it is. Go away. Go take your money and go do something else somewhere else. Garrett Hampson has never been an adequate Major League Baseball player. He's not going to all of a sudden turn into one now. Let him go. Bring up guys who can actually fill those roles with productive at bats because you've got a team who's 20 and 15. So we can look at this and go, oh, well, we signed him and Nick Lofton needs to play every day. Why? Why does Nick Lofton need to play every day? He didn't play today. Does he need to play every day or does he need to play 5 times a week? Because right now, there are 3 games a week in the major leagues at a minimum for him. You could probably get him a fourth. Nobody on this team is hitting so well that they just can't be taken out of a lineup. Like even last week, you had Michael Garcia, who didn't hit well, but he had a great week the week before. Michael Massey had a great week, but we all know how inconsistent he can be. Freddie Fermin had a great week, but it's not like you're DHing him at any point in time, probably. So who is it? Nelson Velasquez and his 071 batting average. MJ Melendez 063 for the last 2 weeks. Hunter Renfroe $129. Adam Frazier $179. Garrett Hampson 52 weighted runs created plus. Which of those guys has to be in the lineup that Nick Lofton, Drew Waters, C.J. Alexander, a Devin Mann couldn't be taking those? Cut bait with your mistakes and see if this team can actually compete when you put the best players on the field instead of try to play the roster game.
Yeah, I'd probably switch that up a little bit. I'd probably let go of Renfro and Hampson. I'd keep Frazier simply because he can play both corners, second and that. But I don't think that excludes Nick Lofton from being on the team. I do think Drew Waters is an interesting one in right because he's going to provide you a pretty high level of defense in right. I haven't been able to watch him play in AAA, and I don't know if this is like a new approach, Drew Waters, and he's having a lot of success, or if it's just a Drew Waters started a season on one of his hot streaks, and soon he'll go a month without hitting. I don't know what it is, but I'd be willing to find out because you're right. Hunter Renfroe's not giving you anything that you can't get from a lot of other people. Neither is Adam Frazier. Neither is Hampson. Dairon Blanco's giving you stuff where he should actually probably be playing more, in my opinion. I know he's great. You want to keep him for that off the bench thing at the end of games, but I mean, there isn't anything that says somebody else can't do that too. So,
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree with you. It is not the MO of the Royals in past years and regimes to quickly change their mistakes, but we've seen some evidence this year that they will. They got Will Smith out of that closer role pretty damn quick. You know, they
Mm-hmm.
they told Alec Marsh, "Hey, you're going to go be the starter," when everybody wanted Daniel Lynch and Jordan Lyles was getting the big paycheck and all that sort of stuff. So there has been some changes from a JJ Piccolo led front office. Hopefully, the ability to make those quick changes on mistakes is. Royals Weekly is brought to you by All In Physical Therapy. You already know that All In Physical Therapy helped turn our mother into a vigilante who hunts criminals in the night. But what you don't know is that Mom loved her experience there because of the personal attention she got from Tommy and the staff at All In. They guarantee a personalized one-on-one experience to suit the needs of patients recovering from total joint surgeries, sports injuries, or any kind of.
Even the pain that Mark is going to feel from leaving 2 numbskulls in charge of his podcast.
I can't wait till he listens to this thing. Poor bastard. All In Physical Therapy is owned and operated by Tommy Freevert with locations in Blue Springs and Lee Summit. But most importantly, they're in network for nearly all insurance.
In network just means another way to say I love you, according to Zales.
And we love you, Alex Duvall. You're in network to me, Alex Duvall. If you're a high school athlete recovering from injury or someone bouncing back with a brand new hip or knee, check out the best physical therapy in the KC Metro at allin-pt.com. That's allin-pt.com. Or give them a call at 816-427-5300. That's 816-427-5300. The Royals start the week at home with some interleague action. That sounds dirty. Against the Brewers of Milwaukee, which we all know is Algonquin for the good land, because Alex Cooper told us in Wayne's World. Thank you, Alex Cooper. Then they will head to the West Coast for a 3-game series against the Mike Troutless Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Alex, tell us what the Brewers will be.
First place seed in the NL Central.
Mm.
This is a really good team. Dude, can we talk about really quick? We don't have to talk about him. I just want to mention Blake Perkins, who was written off by the Royals and the Yankees, gets a hold of the Brewers and all of a sudden is doing literally everything that you thought he could do maybe as a prospect. Blake Perkins, I tweeted this out the other day. It is the coolest redemption project in terms of a prospect I've ever been a part of. I've never seen anything like it where a guy who you could look at it and go, hey, that could work. And it clearly never worked. And all of a sudden, one day, it just worked. It's like, hey, this is why we play the game, right? I
That's
mean,
right.
it's such a cool. I mean, he is such a good kid, and I wish nothing but the best. And it's so cool to see how Blake Perkins is like playing at like a 4-win pace for the Brewers right now in center field.
And that's why they're always in it, man. They
Mm-hmm.
turn guys who are marginal players into really good role players or really good starters, and they take starters and turn them into all stars. That I tons and tons of respect for what the Brewers do. Tell us who's pitching in those games and what they.
On Monday, it's Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Monday, we got Cole Reagans, Bryce Wilson. Bryce Wilson, um, kid who I really liked coming out of the draft several years ago that took a little bit longer to develop than I think, the Braves would have liked. Um, Ends up in Milwaukee and is now a very, very quality big league starter. Obviously, with Cole Reagans on the mound, you always feel good about your chance to win. Although he has had like this weird hiccup at home, right? It's like for whatever reason, Reagans has these weird reverse splits at home. So we'll see if he can get over that hump. Because if the Royals can beat the Brewers, go to 21-15, will they be in third place in this AL Central? Maybe, but now you have a better record than the best team in the NL Central. I will take that every day of the week, Mike.
Agreed.
Game 2, Seth Lugo, who is Seth Lugo quietly like the Cy Young leader
Cy
right
Young
now?
leader. Yeah, I was thinking of myself too. Is like, is Seth Lugo going to win a Cy Young award?
I mean,
Is John Schreiber going to go to the All Star game? Like, what's going on here?
dude, it's interesting. And so with Seth Lugo, this is the cool thing about the Royals rotation right now is you never feel like there's a game you can't win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you imagine? Who's the best example?
Whereas in
Colin
last year,
Ray.
I don't know if we had a game we thought we could win.
I know. Let's take Colin Ray for example, because Colin Ray is like your prototypical. This guy's going to give the Royals fits. He's having a good year. He doesn't really throw anything straight. He's all over the strike zone, and it's just like, oh, this is the guy. He's just going to give the Royals fits. But with Seth Lugo on the mound, it's like maybe we don't need a ton of runs to win this game. It's like maybe we could fight to get to the bullpen and see if we could pull one out. So between Seth Lugo going on Tuesday and Brady Singer going on Wednesday against Joe Ross, who, Mike, 5 years ago, I swore Joe Ross would be a very good big league starter, and it never worked out. Um, Reminds me of like Luis Patino when he was with San Diego. They traded him to Tampa Bay, or maybe that was vice versa. Yeah, they traded him to Tampa Bay. It was like, this guy is going to work. I mean, he's 6'4", he throws 98, hammer of a curveball. It's like, there's nothing about this that can't work. And then you're reminded that there's no such thing as a pitching prospect. Um, like I see in your notes, 95-mile-an-hour sinker, and yet he has a 4.65 ERA and a WHIP over 1.5. It's like, this
Yeah,
doesn't make sense. How do you have
first
a
rounder.
95-mile-an-hour sinker and it doesn't
Yeah,
work?
a first rounder, Joe Ross, in the middle of the first round out of high school. Uh, Electric stuff, strikes out a lot of people. Doesn't also gets hit very, very, very hard. And when I looked at his pitches, I tried to find what's his really good pitch. All of them get hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
And so when you have a 1.55, whip and a 4.65 ERA, there's not one you can pick out that's just fantastic or anything. But I do like our pitching matchups in that series. Their offense is crazy good. The Brewers'
Mm-hmm.
offense is very good. They are second in weighted runs created plus, only behind the Dodgers, who, when you see the difference there, you go, oh my God, the Dodgers are unbeatable, because their offense is insane. But the Brewers are going to come in here with swinging those sticks. And so it's going to be a great test for Reagans, Lugo, and Singer. I can tell you that.
The best three guys in your rotation, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
could not have drawn it up any better for the Royals.
Yeah. And so that'll be really exciting to start the week. And then we'll go out to the West Coast, the left coast for Los Angeles Angels and Anaheim. Boy, we're really going from one extreme to the other here. They are 12-22 and last in the AL West, and they just lost probably still the best, well, now the second best player in baseball. Actually, in the last 6 months, they've lost both of the best players in baseball. They lost Shohei Ohtani to the Dodgers over the winter, and he lost like $1 billion to some guy scamming him. And then they lost Mike Trout to a meniscus injury just last week or a week or 2 weeks ago. really sucky. He's out indefinitely. They just say they haven't given a time. They think it's not the whole season, but he was everything that was going for their offense. Basically, they are 27th in team ERA at 4.91, which has been the problem with the Angels even when they had Ohtani pitching, and even before that they couldn't throw. They can't pitch. Okay, they always had Mike Trout to anchor the lineup. Now he's out. Taylor Ward is the only other person having a decent year for them offensively. Zach Neto and Nolan, and I always pronounce this. You say Chanul on the broadcast. I say Chanul on the broadcast. I hear them call him Chanuel, like he's French or something. And so I'm just going to call him Chanul for now because who knows. But both he and Zach Neto, they're two. I think both of them are in their second year, right? Or
Neto was the year before,
was the year before that?
but
Okay.
he may not have come up until last year. So I don't
I know they were both guys who spent like no time in minor league baseball.
remember.
They both like got drafted and started playing Major League Baseball, and they're both struggling right now, which is not surprising, I guess, to an extent. I do like your comp, Chanul, to Kurtz. I do think that's a pretty fair assessment there. I really like Chanul coming out of that draft. He got taken a little higher than I thought he was going to. Anyway, the Angels look like a place ripe to get 3 wins. So get out there and keep them down.
By the way, while we're in LA, and if you're watching the games, Taylor Ward, trade deadline pickup,
Ooh, that would be a really good one to fill that spot in right. Yeah.
still has some team control, not a star that's going to break the bank. Could you get him for a Mason Barnett? Could you get him for a Chandler Champlain? Could you get him for a Jonathan Bolin still? I would be interested to see if you could swing a Taylor Ward just to kind of fill it out because he does, like I said, does have a year of control where you don't have to make it about 2024 if you're going to go try to find a bat. I don't necessarily know that's the direction they'll go. If they do, Taylor Ward might be at the top of my list right now.
That's a great one, and I think he would be a phenomenal. Well, let's end this episode like we end every episode. Mark says I have to, so I might as well do that. We're going to do our Just a Bit Outside segment here where Alex will get to share some of his stuff that he's interested outside the world of baseball. I actually had like a bunch to pick from, and I never do this week, so I'm going to share mine too. Alex, kick us off. You're just a
Go see your doctors. I was listening to the broadcast the other day, and they were talking about Tyler Duffy, right? Went in for a normal checkup. Doctor didn't like a freckle or a mole or something like that on his back. And he's like, I spend a lot of time in the sun, but I'm always got a jersey on, maybe even an undershirt or a jacket. I never thought I could get skin cancer on my back. And sure enough, he had a cancerous spot on his back. They got it removed. He'll be fine. But, Ranny hosts that podcast with Seren. I don't remember the name of it at the moment. Everybody knows Ranny Jazzy Early, the good doctor. He's a
dermatologist.
Dermatologist, thank you, and is
Mhm.
constantly telling people, go get checked because we can't help you if you don't come let us help you. I recently saw on Twitter, Les Norman, former big leaguer, is kind of on this big thing right now. Like, make sure guys specifically when you get to that age, go get checked because
Go see Dr. Jellyfinger.
he had a bad report, and because they caught it so early on, they're able to help him. Sounds like he's going to be fine. God willing. So I've just heard. I'm getting to that age. I'm going to be 30 this year, Mike. So I'm getting to that age where I've started to make sure I go to my doctor every year, do the blood work just to make sure it's covered by my insurance through the school. It sucks because you're always like, it's always like lingering in the back of my head, like, oh boy, here we go. But I'd rather know than not know, So there's a lot of real good people out there in Kansas City who are ready to help, and everywhere, right? That are ready to help if you go get checked, but they can't help you if they don't know. So go see your doctor.
Yeah, and I was a person like that. I waited a long time because I never wanted to know. I was like, if I don't know, then it can't be bad. And so when I finally did go, I had high cholesterol, so I had to get that taken care of. But I've now started going regularly because of the high cholesterol, but some other things just to make sure. And yeah, I'm a little older than you at 38, so Dr. Jellyfinger is right around the corner for me,
Oh,
and I will be going to get it done because yeah, I want to catch those things early. and make sure that we get those taken care of. Great, great one to do there. I'm going with one that's a little more cultural here. I was able to, now this is more culturally specific here. I, I work at a school like Alex does, and I got an email from a colleague that I actually never see. I've met her because she worked at the previous school I was at, and she also works at the current school I'm at, but she's only at my school for an hour a day. She teaches Chinese. And she sent an email out saying, hey, it's Asian American and Pacific Island American Appreciation Month, right, in May. And so she's like, there's an event that they do in Kansas City. She sent the flyer out. It's called Taste of Asian American and Pacific Islanders Festival. And so I was like, we don't have anything to do on Saturday. Want to get my kid out of the house. Morgan, my wife, you want to go down to this just to see what it is? And so we went down to it, and it was awesome. It was small. It was down there in, gosh, what's that area called?
The River Market area?
No, it wasn't the River Market. It's over by those all those antique places. Is that the East Bottoms? Am I right there? I'm not sure, but it's over by a bunch of these antique places in this area. Where Chef Jay, the barbecue place. I think that's where he opened up his first place.
Yes.
Whatever that place is called. But it was over there under some overpasses. Like I think whether was it something Boulevard was right above me or something. But it was fantastic. I mean, I'm talking food that you just don't often see. And not all of it was from restaurants in Kansas City. Some people came in from outside of Kansas City to make these things. They had Cambodian, Thai, Chinese, Hawaiian, all these different great food choices. You got to sample a lot of them for free. And then, of course, they were selling full meals and stuff as well. They had some live music that was fantastic, by the way. It had they did original stuff and they did some covers. Then they did traditional dances from different cultures in Asia or the Pacific Islands. My son tried to get out there and dance and stuff like that with them. It was a heck of a time. It's not huge, so we spent like maybe an hour and a half down there, but talk about the perfect thing to take your kid to, he ate some curry. My son doesn't get exposed to curry because my wife and I aren't all that adventurous when it comes to eating, but he tried some curry. He tried some, this pork dish that we got that was fantastic. Yeah. Kansas City offers up so many different things to go do. And I think for you and me, we're kind of out here in the burbs. It's like, if I go to those things, it's, 35 minutes driving there, 35 back, you got to park, all that stuff. If you take the time to find some of these and you say yes to life, you can find some cool stuff. So thank you to Mei Lee, the teacher that sent me that.
Was it just the one day?
Yes, they just do it for that one day. And it's only for 5 hours. It's from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Like I said, it's not huge, but especially if you're into different kinds of food, this was something to check out. It was really cool.
I'm looking at pictures online of like the griddle set up where they're cooking all the chicken in this one picture, like all at once. This says it was on Hickory Street, which I believe is in the West Bottoms.
West Bottoms. Okay.
But this is absolutely something. Now, yesterday specifically may not have worked out for me, but like if I had a free day, I 1000% would have gone to something like this. This looks incredible.
Yeah, it was fun. And they do it the first weekend in May every year.
Noted. Okay.
Noted, yeah. Give it a shot. Okay, thanks for joining us here on Royals Weekly. It was fun to host, Alex. Thank you for being here. Royals Weekly presented to you by Bet Online. I guess I have to do Mark's line now, and you have to do mine. Okay, so until next week.
I don't know if I know the line off the top of my head. Oh, that's it?
Yeah.